Close your eyes. Take a breath. Tonight, we're going somewhere wild. Let's explore the world of the vaquita. In the Gulf of California, at the top of Mexico, the sea runs narrow between two strips of desert. The water here is not blue. It never has been. It is green and gray, thick with sand stirred up by tides that come and go twice a day. Sunlight pushes down from above and gives up after a few body lengths, swallowed by the green. Below that, shadow. In the shadow, echo. She is small as whale kind goes, no longer than you were tall. Dove gray on her back, white on her belly, and on her face, two round black rings encircling her eyes and a curved dark line along her mouth. No beak, no long pointed snout, just a blunt round face made for listening to the water, not looking at it. She had been living in this small sea her whole life, and she knew every corner of it the way you know your own room in the dark. This morning, she rose to breathe. One breath out, a small burst of mist into the cold air. One clean breath in. Then she tipped her round face down and let herself sink back into the green. She clicked. She had been making that sound since the first morning of her life. Her mother had clicked. Her mother's mother had clicked. The whole line of them back through the years in this green water had been clicking and listening and reading the world in sound. Echo did not think about it any more than you think about breathing. The click went out, the sea answered. She knew where she was. You would not hear it. It was too fast, too high, far above the reach of your ears. But it went out through the water, out into the murky green in every direction, asking the sea a question. And then it came back. She called, and the sea called back. Rock, sand, a school of small silver fish 3 body lengths ahead, moving left, the shape of the sea floor far below, the direction of the current pulling steady toward the south. She read all of it in the space of a blink, the whole world in sound arriving all at once. Do you know how dark the water is down there? Past where the sunlight goes, past where green turns to shadow? In that dark, she moved as if every stone had a name. She listened for the fish. The fish never heard her coming. She found it. The click had been a question, and the sea had answered it. After, she moved through the deeper water, clicking softly, reading the world as she went. Shrimp, crabs, the shape of a rock ledge angling down, and from somewhere across the gulf, something answered that was not a rock and not a fish. A click, the same shape as hers. Another like her. I am here, it said, the way all the voices in this small sea said it. She turned that direction and called back. It called back in return. She swam a little toward it, and it swam a little toward her, and for a while they moved through the same green water, neither alone, both clicking and listening and reading the world together. 2 small gray presences in the only sea they had ever known. They did not have names for each other the way you have names, but Echo knew the sound of this one the way she knew the sound of the rock ledge in the north. A particular spacing of clicks, a rhythm in the echo. This one, no other. They moved through the same stretch of water for a time, both calling, both listening, both finding what they were looking for. The Gulf held many silences, but it also held that voice, and whenever Echo heard it, the sea felt alive and full. She called, and the sea called back. Echo's whole world was this one small patch of the Gulf, a stretch of green water about 24 kilometers long and 12 kilometers wide, roughly 15 miles by 7 miles. She had heard every corner of it: the rocks in the north, the currents in the south, the shallow water where the younger vaquitas preferred to hunt. She knew where each voice lived and in what direction. She knew the quiet of a place where no one was, and she knew the different quiet of a place where someone had been. The voices were not many. She had always known that, but each one was its own. A pitch, a timing, a particular way the clicks settled back from one direction that could only mean one presence, no other. She knew the slow voice from the deep water in the south, the one that clicked long and unhurried. She knew the quick voice from the shallows near the rocks. She knew what it felt like when they were all in their places and the gulf was as full as it got. Most mornings, everything answered the way it should. But this morning, she turned to one direction she always called into, a stretch of water where a voice had always lived, and something was different. She called. The echo came back. Rock, current, sand, but not the voice that used to live there. Listen. She called again, slower this time, the way you might call into a room you think might be empty and hope you're wrong. "Are you there?" the click said. The echo returned with nothing in it, just water, just the usual sounds of the sea that she had always known, minus one. Can you hold your breath for a moment? Just for a second, while she waits. She held herself very still in the green water, and she waited. The gulf moved around her, current and tide and the far-off soft clicking of the other vaquita somewhere in the shallows. But from that one direction, from the stretch of water where she had always heard a voice call back, nothing. A quiet that had not been there before. Something thin and still in the water had gotten there before her, and a voice had gone quiet because of it. She moved through the space where that voice had been. Same water, same depth, same slow pull of the current she had always known. Only the sound was different. The echo from a place where nothing living waits. She had heard that echo before, in the far northern reach of the gulf where no voice had ever lived. She had not expected to find it in this direction. She clicked once more from the center of that silence and waited. She stayed. That is the thing about Eco. She has nowhere else to go, and she has no wish to go anywhere else. She stayed in her small sea, and she called, and she waited, and the gulf kept moving around her, and she was part of it. The tide went out in the afternoon. The water changed the way it always changed, shallower and brighter near the edges, slower in the middle, the sand shifting in the same paths it had shifted for years. She called from the center of the gulf. She called from the north, where the rocks were. She called from the south, where the sand ran long and flat. The gulf answered with everything it had, everything except in one direction. She called, and the sea called back. Not that voice, but the rest of it was there. The sand, the current, the other vaquita in the shallows, the fish that moved in a slow school near the surface. The sea was not silent. She was still in it, and she was still calling, and things were still answering. That counted. That mattered. And then something arrived in the water that had not been there before. Tiny, very high, the smallest click she had ever heard in this sea, and she had been listening to it all her life. "Do you hear it?" She turned toward it, sent her click toward the source, listened to what came back. A shape, very small and round and brand new, and beside it, warm and steady, the familiar shape of a mother. Frida, and Frida's calf arrived in the world just days ago, sending her very first click out into the Gulf of California, into the only sea she would ever know. The calf clicked again, small and uncertain, the way all first things are uncertain. "Is anyone there?" the click said. Eco was there. "I am here," she said, the only way she knew how to say anything. The calf heard her. The calf's tiny click had gone out into the green water and come back carrying something solid. Rock below, fish ahead, and two shapes close beside her, warm and real. One her own mother, and one a small gray animal who had been listening in this sea for far longer than the calf had been alive. She called, and the sea called back. Eco held still for a moment. The gulf breathed around her. An eye was open, then it was not. A click went out into the green. An echo came back. She was home. The vaquita is still out there right now in the Gulf of California, doing exactly what it was born to do. Do you wonder what Eco hears when the whole sea goes quiet, then calls back at once? Sleep well, Fenekie. The wild world will be here when you wake up. Good night.